And hello again, everybody. Welcome inside the latest edition of the Panthers Sports Report, presented by the Milwaukee Brewing Company, a proud partner of Panthers Athletics. Milwaukee Brewing Company is founded on principles of crafting and creating beers using the best local ingredients. And we welcome you inside the Milwaukee Brewing Company, talking a little Panther men's basketball with head coach Pat Baldwin. I am Scott Warris. Coach, good to see you again, and
Great to see you.
Good time to talk. A couple of big wins, an upset over Wright State, and then the rivalry, a slog of a game, but big hot stretch in the second half to knock off the Phoenix and take the season series from them 2-0. It's a good time to talk Panthers basketball. Just your thoughts on what we've seen the last couple games.
Yeah, I think it was a great weekend, of our guys playing and coming up with a couple of victories that we certainly needed to try to give ourselves a boost going into our last few remaining regular season games and then get going as conference tournament season starts up. So it was exciting, glad and happy to see our guys really persevere and really fight to get these last two victories.
And defense was the name of the game, certainly last time out on Sunday against Green Bay. And you and I talked on the radio broadcast. It was impressive, I think, the way that your guys persevered through the offensive woes while still maintaining a high level of defense. Sometimes a team can be impacted on one end of the floor if the other end isn't going well. And that was not at all the case against Green Bay.
Yeah, it's human nature when you're playing basketball that you sometimes try to, play through your offense and make you feel good, help you feel good that way. But I thought it was the other way around. Our guys really did a yeoman's job on the defensive end. We talked about, despite being down in the first half against Green Bay, that we still held them under 30% from the field. And that was impressive enough. And we just said, just keep on pushing along, continue to play defense. But we also knew that you can only play so much defense. Your offense had to come around. And still in the second half, we still had some areas where we had to improve defensively. We weren't still clicking. And then we just found, that right spark we had. We went to a smaller lineup offensively. That helped. And then we continued that pace defensively where we held them without a field goal for a long stretch.
9 minutes.
The game. Yeah.
9 minutes.
That really helped us.
We're going to talk about that smaller lineup. And let's start with a young man who has been really impressive the last couple of games, now coming off the bench, and that's Donovan Newby. 17 points, career high against Green Bay, 15 points all in the second half in the upset win against Wright State. What are you seeing through your coach's eyes in Mello, nickname Mello, right now, that has allowed him to really take over and take his own game to a new level?
It's something that I talked about it before with some other guys, but I think it's, sometimes the game starts slowing down for you, and you never know when that's going to happen. And I think in Melo's case, I think the game is starting to slow down. He's always been cerebral. He's always had kind of a cool demeanor about himself when he stepped out onto the court. But I think he's taken it to another level. I think the other part of that, when he comes off the bench, he's allowed to see the game and how it's transforming right before his eyes while he's sitting on the bench and ready to get his turn. And then just the confidence. I think that he's playing at a very high level right now, and he's very confident in himself. He understands what I'm looking for at the point guard position, but also he knows that we need him as well. He's one of our best shooters. He's also obviously our best free throw shooter as well. So we depend on him a lot, and I'm really encouraged by his growth and development from last year to even earlier this year to now.
Donovan is the only player on the team that has played in every game this year. What was that, if you wouldn't mind sharing, what was that conversation like when you tweaked the lineup, maybe about a week or so ago now, 10 days or so ago, and you decided to bring Newby off the bench? Obviously, it's worked out really well. Is he the type of kid that was receptive to it, or is that vary from player to player? What was that conversation like?
Yeah, I hate to say that someone's a sacrificial lamb, but in Melo's case, I wanted to get bigger in our lineup, And prior to even Patrick getting not being able to play and start, we were going to have Moses and Joey together with Patrick, and so our front line would have been really, really huge with DeAndre and Jordan. But even prior to that, we just wanted to have a little bit more presence to start the game, and especially on the defensive end. But Melo is the ultimate team player. So when I talk with him about having him come off the bench and giving us that support that we needed from there, he said, "Coach, whatever I need to do for the team, I'm going to do it." And obviously, I expect that out of him. But sometimes when you're taken out of the starting lineup and you have to come off the bench in a reserve role, some players don't take that very easily. But not that he did, but he ultimately gives us a great option off the bench, but also plays his role to a T, and he's so unselfish. And it doesn't surprise me that he, what he said to me.
His game over the last couple or so has changed or evolved maybe. In we're seeing him with a much more aggressive mentality, driving to the hole, playing downhill as the slogan goes. Was that something that you two talked about doing? Is that a concerted effort? Because up until now, we kind of knew of him as more of a perimeter type player. What changed in that respect about Newby's game?
Well, it's a little bit by design, and so when we talk about our offense and trying to be a little bit more aggressive, but I want our point guards to push the ball a lot quicker up the floor and to get us into our offense. But the thing that I talked to him about was, because he's such a great free throw shooter, is that he does need to get into the paint and draw some more fouls, but also be confident because he's one of our better shooters as well. So he's one of those kids that when you tell him what to do and what you need from him, he certainly tries to execute it. And if he doesn't, he'll try to make up for it. So we're really excited about, again, his growth, his development, his maturity, and his game, and it's come at the right time.
Well, speaking of growth and maturity, what you also did, and you alluded to it already, was go with Joey St. Pierre and Moses Bol, giving you the biggest, front court that you've had in any starting lineup all year. And what went into that decision? Because we have seen Moses grow in the last couple games. He has taken his game to a new level. And how do you hope those two guys play off each other?
Well, I think a lot of that went into our game preparing for Wright State. They had two frontline guys in Grant Basile and Braun A.J. Braun. So we wanted to, it was pretty much easy to try to match up with that lineup, and we wanted to hit the boards and do a great job from that standpoint. And now who knows if we continue to go forward just because of matchups and everything like that, but it's the last two games it certainly helped because those two guys have done a great job. I know in the Wright State game they had 14 points and 13 rebounds between the two of them, and it just gives you another dimension. Now offensively it might stall you because of spacing, but defensively it really helps us when one guy has to help him recover, another guy's right behind you, either blocking shots or picking up those rebounds.
And it's probably an obvious thing or something that one would assume when you're 7 feet 1 inches tall, as Moses Bol is. But in that second half, late in that game against Green Bay, to see how his presence was playing in the minds of those Green Bay Phoenix players, whether it was McGee trying to dribble drive and penetrate, whether it was Cade Meyer, who is a big in and of himself, and you could almost tell, even if he wasn't getting a rebound or a block, he was in their heads. He was up there between the ears, and that's when you've made an impact on a game.
Until you're up in front of someone who's 7'1", with probably a 7'5" or 7'6" wingspan that he has, you don't really realize how long he is, how much of a presence that 7'1" is, and his size presents there in the paint. And I think what you talk about and what you see a lot is you see the blocks, you see all of that, but you don't see the number of times that he truly alters shots, even when he doesn't get a hand on the ball. And it's just different. And unless you have someone that you go up against every single day that you can mirror that, you don't know until you get right in front of it. But in the second half, he was really dominant on the defensive end. He really protected our paint, and that's really important, especially late when you're trying to search and scratch for buckets, and then you put your head down and try to get to the basket. It's great to have someone of his stature to be back there and protect your rim.
It's big too because, and you've been on both ends of the rivalry. I mean, you had a front row seat for the Pearl, Kowalczyk era matchups. Were you there when they stopped shaking hands? Were you part of?
I was.
Do you remember
and I think that was 02, 03, 04. Yes,
it was okay for a while, and then after a while, those two guys weren't shaking hands.
Yeah, no, it was. I was there. I was there.
You had
Let
a
me
front
just
row
say
seat.
I was just there.
Fair enough. But you've been on both ends of that rivalry, and you have seen it when it's been at its zenith, probably going back to 15, 16 years ago. So to know you've been able to sweep those guys the last 2 years, there's still something special about it, isn't there?
It's really special. It's no different than any other rival in whatever sport that you're playing. When you play your crosstown rival or your state rival, and having been a part of Green Bay, that program, and now a part of Milwaukee, to still have that passion in this game, it really means a lot to go into that game and knowing that you took the first game and now the opportunity to get the second. It really makes me smile knowing that we took care of business in that game.
And you took care of business 48 hours or so earlier with that upset win over Wright State. And that victory on the heels of what happened 48 hours before then, that might be one of those games that, Coach, you look back on years and years and years from now and just recognize that on its own, that was a pretty special night, knowing what your guys gave you and how they rallied around each other.
Yeah, after we played on a Wednesday and didn't play so well, we just had to draw the line in the sand. And that's a moment that you are just really tested. Your heart, all the things that you put into the game, you really have to come to grips with. And we had a lot of very vivid and strong discussions in the locker room after our game, and we were there for about an hour and a half, just talking and let their emotions come out. And then I just think our guys just felt like, just rededicating themselves to what we needed to do. I felt like the next day, we had a greater mission. We had more focus and concentration on the things that we needed to do, and they felt an opportunity. We showed them from our first game against Wright State the opportunities that we had. We were up 11, and we're playing pretty well, and we felt like we let that game slip away from us. We felt like it was ours to win and to lose, and we just didn't take care of business there. So I think it was the confidence knowing that we've done that before. And just the anger that our guys approached that Wright State game with was enough.
And it's impressive because of the quality of program that Coach Nagy has there in Dayton, Ohio, obviously, and it feels as if during Nagy's time there that has been a good, I'll say a good matchup for your program. Why is that? Why are those, when Wright State may be rampaging through all these other opponents in this league, and they come to Milwaukee, whether it's that big upset last year in the tournament or what happened a couple of days ago, what is it about the way the Panthers play that give those Raiders such a difficult challenge when other teams can't even compete?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a lot of, and in sports is your matchups, and when you feel like you match up with the team, you just play well against them. I look at their defense and the way they play. It's a bend but don't break type of defense. They're not putting a ton of pressure on you, although they're still very good defensively. And you have to make shots against them. And I thought against Wright State, we certainly did that. And then on the defensive end, we talked about having Moses and Joey in. We really matched up against them defensively. And I thought it was one of our better defensive efforts, especially on someone like Holden, who came in averaging about 18 or 19 a game. And we held him to 8 points. And I thought that was really good for us too. But the matchups, it just works out that way against that team, and it seemingly feels like our guys have played their best against them.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch, and who knows, maybe you see them again in a couple of weeks in the conference tournament.
I love that.
It's a situation where this league, and we can kind of speak to a broader point. It's been wild. I mean, we've seen maybe the last couple of years, maybe one or two teams separate themselves. So here when we sit late February, you kind of know, all right, there's those two guys and everybody else. And I'm telling you, and I know it's an unbalanced year. It's an unbalanced conference schedule because of some COVID cancellations earlier in the year. It's wild, Coach. I mean, we're sitting here a couple of hours or a night after a triple overtime thriller in Fort Wayne. They knock off Cleveland State. How would you characterize this year? Because it seems different than any year in recent memory in this conference.
Well, I think you said it best. It's wild. It's unpredictable. Yeah. Just from the standpoint of, you see us beating a team like Oakland. I think at the time they were either in first or battling for first
and
place.
Undefeated at the time.
Yeah, undefeated at the time. You see us against a Wright State team that's, in the top 3 in the league, and so anyone on any given night can win or beat another team. So it is unpredictable. It's wild. You have to be ready for anything. We talked about matchups and how important that is as well. And so just buckle up and saddle up and be ready to go.
Well, I'll tell you, it has to be. It's going to be exciting from a player's perspective, coach's perspective certainly, but from a player's perspective that you're in a situation where even if maybe you don't get the seed you wanted to at the beginning of the year, or it's not as good as you would have hoped, but you look at the way the season has played out and you realize, gosh, yeah, they're a higher seed, but we've beaten them and we've beaten those guys too. And it gives you new life, it gives you new hope, breathes a little energy into the hopes and dreams of March Madness, what it's all about.
Yeah, we're sitting here with 7 wins in our conference. We obviously wish we could have won more, in the earlier games that we had played. But, certainly it gives you opportunity, gives you hope that when you're preparing for the conference tournament, whatever your seeding is, if you're matched up with a team that either you played well against but didn't beat, or you won against them, gives you that belief that you can go into those games and win. Now the challenge is, especially in the first couple rounds with playing at the home sites of someone else, that if you're on the road, that's the challenge, is going on the road and defeating that home team in their building, prior to getting to Indianapolis. So I just think, number one, you take it game by game, and whoever's in front of you, you really work your tail off to try to prepare and be ready for whatever they throw at you, and be aggressive and have fun while you're doing it.
Do you, as a coaching staff, do you at all reference what has happened in years past? I mean, this Panthers program has a history of doing some crazy stuff during the conference tournament for that week in March, whether it's, with Coach Jordan's year as the 10 seed going to the title game, or you then coming in the semifinal round the next year, or last year, obviously, the comeback after comeback. Do you draw on that at all, or is it just out of sight, out of mind, and that doesn't impact anything that's going to happen this year, and never mind?
No, I definitely draw on that. Okay. Prior to me coming in here, I talk about that all the time, that that year that was a team that hadn't done as well in the regular season and ended up in the championship game. My first year, we were in the semifinals of our conference tournament. Last year, we were in the semifinals of the conference tournament. So I definitely reference that, and you just have to be playing well at the right time in March. And certainly, where we are or where we were isn't what we expected it to be. But all we care about right now is being at our best at this moment, and still giving ourselves an opportunity. And each game presents that for us.
I mean, I know just anecdotally talking with people around the league, whether it's other broadcasters or staff members of other teams, and there's a short list of teams, and they say, I don't care, we're so-and-so seated or we're so-and-so is seated, I want no part of them, and many times it's the Panthers. They go, I don't want any part of the Milwaukee Panthers come that conference tournament time because of what you say. And you have guys who did it last year, like DeAndre Golston, like Josh Thomas, so they've seen the blueprint and the confidence is there. We were talking confidence this week, Coach, about Donovan Newby, and confidence in a player can be a scary thing. It can make some magic this time of year or any time of year.
No question about it, and this is what, like you said, what's so special about this time of the year is if someone is clicking or a team is clicking and you have that confidence, they feel like they can defeat the world. And hopefully our guys feel that way as we go into finish the latter part of this regular season and going into the conference tournament, that just put whoever in front of us, let's just go play and see what happens. And it's almost like the park mentality that you just go out and play and let the best rise to the occasion.
Well, the next team on the docket, the defending champs, Cleveland State. They'll be here on Friday night, 7 o'clock, inside Panther Arena. A team that you saw about 2 weeks ago or so in northeastern Ohio. And they're going to come in, you already referenced it, off a wild triple overtime loss earlier this week at Purdue Fort Wayne. And give us a little thumbnail about this Vikings team. Solid that they are for Coach Gates, but you've seen them recently.
Yeah, Cleveland State, they're experienced. They have an old group, and they've been through the wars and won championships, and they're relentless, and they play about 30 guys on their roster. But
feels
I think
like
that
it.
It feels that way. Like it. But it bodes well for them and how they play and what they do. We have to, in talking about that game, we have to be consistent in our approach. We have to be tough because they're going to try to make the game physical. We have to be wise and composed as we go through the game, because that's what it's going to require. We remember from last year playing them in the semifinals, and even in the regular season, that you have to play a full 40 minutes in order to beat them. It's not going to be easy, and I feel confident of going into that game that there were some moments in our first game against them this year that that was on us, that we can correct and get better at, and we can exploit against them.
And it's worth pointing out, you'll have 4 days to prepare for them, as opposed to them being the second game of the 2 and 3 day stretch. We only had 24 hours to prepare for them the last time around. You mentioned how veteran they are, and they're kind of a unicorn in college basketball. And I'm just, anecdotally, I'm curious to see how much longer we'll see teams like that, not just in the power conference, but at the mid-major level as well, with player mobility and player movement nowadays. Who knows how much longer we're going to see teams like Cleveland State that have been together for 2 or 3, or in some cases even an actual true 4-year senior. Oh my gosh, might be a rare breed in not too long time.
Yeah, they are unique in that respect, because in this day and age with the transfer portal and the movement between school to school, it's going to be very hard to see that 4-year player sticking out and sticking through with the program. And if you can get that, if you can still be successful that way too, having 4-year players, and then you add your couple transfers in that can help and supplement what you already have, it would be great. But yeah, it's tough, but you have to find a way. If you do it that way, to have that continuity.
The other thing we're going to see when the Panthers and the Vikings square off on Friday at Panther Arena is something that you're seeing in your camera right now. You see this? You see this, sports coach? You see this? You see this? This is what because unless you go, are you going suit? Because Coach Gates, Dennis Gates, head coach of the Vikings, he and his staff, they have been suited up throughout all of COVID. Even last year, there was nobody in the arena, and Coach Gates is all, it's like nothing ever changed. And there's been a casualness that has come over college coaching. So do you know what the attire of you and your staff is going to be on Friday? Do you try to match Coach Gates in terms of I think you guys come out in tuxes. You come out in tuxes and you just put them all to shame.
Yeah, we'll be like Michael Buffer coming
That's
out
right.
in tuxes. We'll be casual. I'll let you know that.
Okay.
I know last year.
That's why I'm going. I'm the Pat Baldwin, and he's the Dennis Gates of this show, based on our apparel. That's what I was going for.
What we did last year, and I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
After we went, after our senior night, or on our senior night,
No.
I was dressed up, but I didn't have a tie.
I remember that.
I was dressed up, and then from there on, I wore a sport coat in all of our games. And part of the reason that I went with, that I haven't gone with suit and sport coat is just because of the cleaning bill. I'm a professional sweater. I like to move around on the sidelines. And,
You do.
And
I have a front row seat for it. I
have
vouch
about
for that.
40 shirts that are now sitting clean in the closet. So I want to keep it that way.
So the casual look means the dry cleaning bill is a lot lower
It's
than
lower.
normally.
Yes, it's lower. Yeah.
I just think coaches have to figure this out. I think there has to be an edict. Either we're all going to be casual or we're all going to go back to suit and ties. Because right now it's a hodgepodge. I don't like the hodgepodge.
Well, if you look at Huggins from West Virginia, you look at
Well,
guys who love to dress casually on the sidelines. If there's a mandate that we all wear suits, he's not going to be part of that. I'm just letting you know.
Suddenly, Bob Huggins retires. I have to do what? Yeah. Nah, that's a good point. It is the Panthers and the defending champion Vikings. It is Friday night, 7 o'clock inside Panther Arena. And then Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock for the Panthers and the Mastodons of Purdue Fort Wayne, Senior Day. So be sure you get to the arena a little early. That's always a special day for the program, Coach. I know you have memories of your senior day, and it'll be a special day again on Sunday.
No, I love senior night or now senior day, just because we have a number of seniors that have really meant a lot to our program, and so I'm looking forward to their families being able to celebrate a momentous day for our guys, and hopefully celebrate that with a win on Sunday.
Coach, appreciate it. Best of skill this weekend.
Thank you very much.
All right, there he is, the suited up Pat Baldwin, the unfortunately casual Scott Warris. Stick around, more of the Panther Sports Report. We'll turn our attention, talk women's basketball. I heard Matt Menzel might be in a tuxedo. I don't know. Stay tuned. That continues from the Milwaukee Brewing Company in just a couple of minutes.
Welcome back to the Panther Sports Report. We turn our attention now to women's basketball here from the Milwaukee Brewing Company. Matt Menzel alongside associate head coach Stacey Cantley, kind enough to fill in here this week on the program as we talk Panther women's basketball off what's been a busy February already, having played 3 games in 5 days, 5 games in 10, and they'll do it all over again starting Thursday with a home date against, tied for first, IUPUI. And Coach, before we talk Panther basketball, what some fans may or may not know is you're a big football fan. You're part of the Bills Mafia, if you will. So I got to get your thoughts on the Super Bowl this past weekend.
Oh, you had to bring that up. No, I'm just a football fan, NFL football fan. I do love my Bills. Was disappointed that they were not in the Super Bowl, but that's okay. I was rooting for the Rams, but either way, it didn't matter to me who won. So it was a close game. It was a close game. That's all I wanted.
And your thoughts on the halftime show?
I actually did not watch the halftime show.
Get ready for IUPUI?
Yeah.
There you go.
Got a scout.
Well, as you see in front of us, hey, it's finally here. The Milwaukee Brewing Company's Panther Pilsner. Milwaukee Panther Athletics, along with Milwaukee Brewing Company, are proud to introduce Panther Pilsner to celebrate the partnership of these two Milwaukee institutions. The Panther Pilsner is available in 12-pack cans. You can ask for the Panther Pilsner at your local liquor store today. Let's talk about the month of February. And again, it's been a busy, busy stretch that began back on the 3rd of February, an opportunity to take on Robert Morris. That was a game at the Klotchie Center, to being a 68-48 Panther win. And I thought what was nice about that game, it was one of the the few games so far this season that would see the Panthers pretty much control from start to finish, put together a complete game.
Yeah, that was a really good game. Robert Morris is a tough team, very physical. They're a team that you don't really want to match up later on in the tournament. Our defense was very good. We pride ourselves on the defensive end. If we're struggling a little bit to hit shots, we really try to lock it down defensively. And I thought that was a great game on that end of the floor. Just a great game overall. I feel like we had, and I can't remember, it feels like it's been a long time ago.
Yes.
I feel like we had multiple people in double figures scoring. So overall, I thought we played really well in that game.
How difficult is it? Okay, so you see a team like IUPUI, like Green Bay, you start to get to know year after year some of the tendencies of those programs, but how about a program like Robert Morris or Purdue Fort Wayne, who've only been in this league now for a couple of seasons? Are there challenges just trying to get a feel for what those programs are all about?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we know the rest of the teams in the league like the back of our hand, and when they came into the league, it was tough to kind of get to know them, kind of to get to know the program, what they're known for running, but I tell you what, Robert Morris is up and coming. They were very good in the last conference that they were in. Even PFW now, two strong teams that you will have to look out for because they're well coached. They play extremely hard, and if you have that, you have kids that will play extremely hard. You know, you have a great chance to win no matter what.
In the Robert Morris victory, there was 1 tie, 0 lead changes, up by as many as 20. Again, never trail against the Colonials. One of the keys in that game, knocking down 8 threes to tie a season best. And, you know, the three-point shot hasn't always been there this season, but it's starting to see more and more confidence from a number of shooters when it comes to that three-point shot as of late.
Yeah, and that's a key word, confidence. I feel like they see the shot go in, and their confidence just builds and builds and builds and builds. And you're right, it has gotten better throughout the year. The past 3 or 4 games, we have shot the ball pretty well. So that, and hopefully we'll continue that on throughout IUPUI and on Saturday against UIC.
Yeah, a nice combo both inside out. In this particular game, Sydney Staver at 17 points, going 3 for 3 from beyond the arc. And then Megan Walstad, we'll talk about her as we go along because certainly Horizon League Player of the Week worthy. She had 23 points in this game against the Colonials. But Sydney Staver, I mean, you look at that three-point shot and we talk about confidence. She's finding that stroke.
She is, and it's fun to see because she obviously was a little frustrated earlier in the season with her shot not falling, but she just continues to work on it, continues to get better, and she's seeing the ball go in now. So that confidence is pretty high for her right now, and it's fun. It's fun for her, especially being a senior and being able to knock down shots like that. And we need her. We need her to come out with those huge plays for us, and she's done it.
Moving ahead to February the 5th, it was the annual breast cancer awareness game, the peak out game. The Panthers sporting some good-looking peak uniforms that were auctioned off as the game wore on. But you look at that matchup, a great matchup against Youngstown State. Unfortunately, a 60-56 Penguins victory. But again, it shows the Panthers are right there competing with the who's who, and Youngstown State is among the who's who in the league this season.
Yeah, they are a really good team. We were really disappointed, though, after that game just because we made a lot of mistakes defensively, and we usually do not make mistakes the way we did against Youngstown. So that was very disappointing. I mean, we lose the game by 4 points, and to make as many mistakes as we did on the defensive end kind of hurts a little more, but we learned from it. We watched film, we learned from it, and we've come out better for it.
It was a game that would see a couple of Panthers finishing double figures, 17 for Megan Walstad with 9 rebounds, 15 points again for Sydney Staver. And again, the Panthers hitting that three-point shot, knocking down 7. Now, this was also part of a stretch, and we've gotten spoiled at Milwaukee when it comes to free throw shooting, as the Panthers set an NCAA record last year for free throw percentage. So when this team misses 3 or 4 in a game, all of a sudden it's panic time because this isn't Panther free throw shooting, but still shooting at a high percentage. But some of those missed free throws have come into play in some of these closer losses.
They really have, and you're right. We're all on the bench like, what is going on? What's going on with our free throws? We go 1 of 2, and it's like the end of the world. But no, they're key. It's huge for us to hit all of those free throws down the stretch because if you lose a game by 4 points, you miss 3 or 4 free throws. I mean, that's not the complete game, but it hurts us. So. We've kind of gotten back on track a little bit. I think we shot maybe 90% in our last game. So, but yeah, we really pride ourselves on hitting free throws like we always have since I've been here. We shoot them every day. So hopefully we'll be able to hold on to that percentage as we go forward.
How tough defensively is a team like Youngstown State to face? Because when you approach them defensively, if you take away the inside, they are known for living to die with that three-point shot, but they also have the inside presence with the newcomer and Lily Ritz.
They really do. They're very tough to guard. It's hard to, if you have somebody going in the post, it's hard to double team because they do have three-point shooters. Same with IUPUI, sorry, on Thursday. Same thing. It's hard to guard when you can score from every position. But you just have to be aggressive. We have to have that aggressive mindset and stay aggressive with them and not allow extra possessions. We have to have every single possession. We can't. We have to go one and done with the rebounding. So all the little things come into play with that.
Well, we talk about a busy month, and it got busier with a couple of games that were postponed in January, moved to February, a couple of Monday dates against Green Bay, and the first one up at the Crest Event Center on the 7th of February, part of the 3 games in 5 days. Let's start there before we talk about the game itself. Just, again, keeping the team upbeat, motivated, ready to go, considering, I mean, no excuses, but you couldn't blame them if they were tired going up to Green Bay on Sunday with a quick turnaround, but so many games, emotionally charged games in a short amount of time. How do you guys go about approaching that stretch?
Yeah, it was tough. That's a hard schedule, especially when you have to travel the next day. But we kept them upbeat. We very, very light in practice, pretty much all scouting. We have to save their legs. You know, we're in mid-February now, so there's no need in us practicing 2 hours. We'll be on the court, watch film for 30 minutes, be on the court for about an hour 15 minutes, and go from there. But it's just we've got to save their legs. Especially with our starters, they're playing so many minutes, and you can kind of, at the beginning of that game, you could kind of tell that our legs were a little dead in the beginning of the game, and then we picked it up as it went on. So we try to keep them focused. They're a great group of girls, all about them. They're very focused, and they have done a great job throughout this stretch, and hopefully this next stretch as well.
It's like a mini NBA schedule because it's bad enough 3 games in 5 days, but as you mentioned, then you get back from Green Bay late, essentially get 1 day back home, and then right back on the road, long bus trip out to Michigan. So the challenge is there for the athletes. But talk about the Green Bay game. You talk about emotionally, charged, both sides, a grinder. Neither team led by more than 4 points until Green Bay was able to create a little bit of separation late in the game. And it was one of those games back and forth. Neither team really was able to take control until late. Yeah,
for sure. And it's always like that with Green Bay, which makes it such a fun rival. Unfortunately, we weren't on top of that, but we have them again on Monday. So, but it's always a battle on both ends of the floor. Be ready to fight in that game. It's very, very physical, and hopefully, when we get to Monday, I know we have to take it one game at a time. We'll be able to come out on the other end of it.
I'll bring up the word confidence again because there's a different confidence with the Panthers now. It used to be you go to Green Bay and you almost give Green Bay a 10-point edge to starts with the crowd, the environment. I mean, that was an adjustment after a couple of wins in Green Bay last year during the COVID season. There just seems like there's a different confidence going into the Crest Event Center. In this instance, they have 1,700 fans, but as Coach Reckledge put it a couple of times in our post-game chats, you didn't know it until maybe right at the end of the game. Yeah. Because, again, the Panthers were able to weather the storm, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. When I first came here, it was when we walked into that arena, it's just unbelievable. It kind of takes you over a little bit. But in that game, I feel like I heard our bench more than I heard anybody in the crowd. Our energy was unbelievable in that game. And it's fun to see it kind of turn a little bit within the state. And we, hopefully we'll keep that up. We'll keep that up on Monday as we prepare and roll on through with it. But it's fun. I love an atmosphere like that. I love to go into an atmosphere like that.
Unfortunately, in this game against Green Bay, it seemed to come down to 2 things in that fourth quarter. Early on, it was offensive rebounding for Green Bay, getting second and third chance opportunities, and then down the stretch in about a 1 or 2 possession game, some costly turnovers.
Yeah, for sure. And now, Matt, I love rebounding. I get a little irritated when we don't rebound the ball, but we said it earlier, you have to have those possessions. And again, it has to be one and done. We cannot give a team like Green Bay an extra possession on offense. And for sure, taking care of the ball, we struggled a little bit early on with turning the ball over. We have improved throughout the last couple of games, but that's just something that we really have to focus on from here on out. You can't have turnovers, especially live ball turnovers, and it has to be one and done on the boards.
And this was a game that would see 3 Panthers in double figures led by Emma Whitmer-House, who had 16 points to tie her career high. And she's become that 1-2 combo on the inside with her and Megan Walstad. They've really developed even more so as the season's progressed. That's a heck of a 1-2 combo for any teams to try to shut down.
Yeah, they play so well together. And Emma, particularly in this game, she was so confident. She didn't hesitate on any shot, any outside shot that she took. Inside, she was very aggressive. Coach was calling for a foul, thought she was throwing elbows. I'm like, no, she's just physical. She's being physical. But it's fun to see her step up and to play like that, play with that physicality and the confidence that she had. And with Megan, I mean, that's like you said, that's a hard combination to guard. And it's fun to watch them play together.
And talking about Emma, she shot a very high percentage at 70%, 7 of 10, en route to that 16-point showing. Megan Walstad with a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 11 points also for Michaela Santoro. Good to see Q get back on track. She at one point in that game kind of took over in that second quarter.
She really did, and it's fun. It's fun to watch Q play. She's so good, so dominant on the defensive end, and then she gets going on the offensive end. It's so fun to watch that. She brings a ton of energy to our program. What an addition to have. I'm just so happy that she's here. She's a Panther, but we miss her when she's not on the floor. So it's fun.
Let's talk about Benergy some more. You brought it up again.
Yes.
Talking about the Green Bay game, you needed to bring the Benergy in Detroit. Not a ton of fans in the stands. It's a completely different atmosphere. How do you go about approaching that where I can broadcast the game, you guys are across the way, you can hear me like I'm sitting next to you like normal. How do you go about just bringing that energy, which you guys did against Detroit Mercy in that matchup on February 10th?
Yeah, for sure. It's a hard place to play because of that. But we have preached since I've been here, bench energy for people that are not sure what that means. Bring the energy on the bench. And they were unbelievable. Our bench was unbelievable in that game. And they had to be. But and it's fun. It makes it gets our girls fired up who's on the court playing. So Benergy is huge, especially when you're on the road and at Detroit because there's no one in the stands.
No, I'm a little disappointed. I can't figure out how Cody and I did not receive not that we would have worn them, but we didn't get a T-shirt.
You didn't get a T-shirt?
They were throwing 10 of them out there. Bound to get one of them, but they kept missing somehow. But you look at that game, it was 71-55. The Panthers able to come away with the victory. 3 ties, 0 lead changes, up by as many as 18. And not only, okay, you have to bring the Benergy, as we call it, as the Panthers call it, but you also got to be ready for an all-out battle on the inside. It's a physical battle, and Detroit Mercy has been known as a physical team, and you have to try to match that, if not surpass it, and the Panthers did just that.
Yeah, they're a very physical team, very aggressive. We were talking earlier, they are in every single game. Like, we go into the fourth quarter when we're watching games, they're up by 2, up by 3, maybe down by 1 in the fourth quarter. They're so close. They play so hard. And they're a very scary team. Now I know they only have 1 win in the conference, but that's somebody that you don't want to match up with. Very physical, but we're fortunate to come out of there with a win.
That would come in the other night against UIC in a makeup, but a number of players stepped up. Megan Walstad with 18 points, another 13 points for Michaela Schmelzer, 12 points for Cindy Staver, 10 points for Macy McGlone. I want to talk about McGlone because she talked to us after the game and said part of her issue is she's so doggone nervous going into games that for once she kind of went into this game. Again, we'll use the word confidence. That seems to be the theme on this show. But she went in with a different mindset, more confidence, and the results followed.
Yes, she played very, very well. And we need that from her coming off the bench to help out Emma and Megan, our other post players. But she stepped up big time in that game. And you're right, very confident. She, for whatever reason, she gets a little nervous, which is okay. But it was fun to see her kind of worked through that. She was dominant in the paint, dominant on the board, very physical, dominant on the boards. And you talked about her steals.
Yeah.
How many steals did she have in that game? She had 4 steals in that
best.
game. Career best. So yeah, it was fun to see her really kind of come into her own in that game.
Also tied her career high with 10 points and then a career best to 8 rebounds. Mentioned Michaela Schmelzer, and she will leave. This being her 6th year at the program, but she is the program record holder so far for games played, games started. And again, she's had some nice moments where she's taken over, and she's had some stretches. Another example here where, she had 13 points and just kind of picked her moments to attack and be aggressive and get to the rack.
Yeah. Mick, again, another one that brings a lot to the table. She, probably one of the hardest working players that I've ever been around, but she has a beautiful shot. She can attack the rim. She's steady. She's very important. We have to have her on the floor. And when she starts hitting her threes and kind of getting into that rhythm, it's fun to watch her play. But just a solid point guard for us, and excited to have her on our team.
And talking about the bounce back and free throw shooting in that game, went 13 of 14, 9 for 10. A couple of days later in Rochester against the Oakland Golden Grizzlies. Let's talk about that matchup, because that was a payback game, if you will, after they were able to come away with a spirited win in Milwaukee in late December, and the Panthers came out and really just took over that game. You guys talk about, and we'll mention what it means, when you look at some of the close Panther losses, there are these things called quarter killers, where it seems to be one quarter that does the Panthers in. In this case, you had a quarter winner, which happened to be the third, where you guys were able to come out at halftime, a close game, and really just take over.
Yeah, that was a really fun game. Probably, we talked about it as a staff, that was our best defensive game of the year. The way that we came out, how we were helping in the gaps, we were in the hole, just helping each other, and how aggressive we were defensively. We were very, very happy. We have to have that throughout the rest of the season. And then to turn to the offensive end, it just kind of flowed into the offensive side of things. Coming into that third quarter at a halftime, we just kind of put our foot on them and kept it there. It was fun. It was a very fun game, but just amazing to see the effort and the aggressiveness and how we help each other on the defensive side of things.
From a defensive standpoint, what was the game plan? I know her role has changed over the year, but Kalasia Dean, one of the better athletes in the league, she's had some monster performances against the Panthers. In this game, shut down. She finished with 6, but they were hard-earned 6 points, 4 of them from the free throw line, all coming into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we wanted to really kind of focus on her, and really whenever she received the ball, kind of suck in on her a little bit. So we would have one person on the right side, one person on the left side, so she had nowhere to go. The thing about that is we did a great job of recovering. If she passed it back out, we were really good on the recovery, to recover out to shooters or whatnot. But every time she touched the ball, we just kind of sucked in and made her make another decision. Okay, kind of took her out of her scoring. So our girls really, the game plan, we had a great game plan, and they carried it out. So that was a fun game.
And pounding the ball inside, we're going to talk about Megan Walstad, as she has her name now forever in the Panther record book. A 1,000-point scorer now, the 22nd in program history. The first since a couple of Panthers did it during the 2016-17 campaign. You had Jenny Linder along with Steph Kostowicz, who were able to join the 1,000-point club that year. But she needed 26 points, and I think when you look at averages, the thought was she would do it on this homestand. She just took over, able to get that 26 point in the fourth quarter, and she did it in her 81st career game, 9th fastest to do so in program history.
It's pretty amazing. She's a special player, obviously. She can score at all 3 levels, and she did in that game. She, like you said, she took over. Nothing would stop her that game. Nothing would stop her. And I don't even know if she knew she was close to 1,000 points.
No, she didn't, she said.
Yes.
She was getting back to play defense after she scored the bucket.
Yeah. So just so proud of her, what she has accomplished. She's hard to stop. She's hard to deal with. And she's doing that over double and triple teams. So it's pretty amazing what she has accomplished.
When you first joined the Panther coaching staff, that was Megan's first year on the active roster. You go back to November 7th of 2018 at Indiana. She was a starter in their very first collegiate game, scored 11 points. Did you know then what we know now, just how gifted of an athlete that she could be at this level?
Yeah, she's just a special kid. I mean, she had it then, and she's improved a lot throughout since that Indiana game. But it wasn't hard to notice. Yeah, she had it. She's very confident now. You know, maybe back there her confidence wasn't where it is now, but it's fun to see where she's at and how much she has grown.
And again, we look at Oakland victory again, just the way the team was able to play, 3 ties, 3 lead changes, up by as many as 19. You never would have guessed the Panthers are playing their 5th game in 10 days. And again, on the road for a 3rd consecutive, because again, the energy was there from start to finish.
It was, and it was fueled by our defense. And again, the energy on the road is key, especially when you're on the road. Again, probably one of the best games that we have played this season. So just fun to see, and let's carry it over to Thursday night.
And I love, too, because we talk about defense, and you guys also have a thing on this bench, and if you listen to the broadcast or if you're at the K, you can always hear players, coaches yelling, turkey, a bowling reference, but for 3 consecutive defensive stops, and it seemed like there were quite a few turkeys against Oakland.
Yes, we actually ended up, I thought we would have had more. We ended up with 6 turkeys. Our goal, or our record is 12.
Ooh.
We've had 12, and I can't remember who that was against, but they take pride in that. And Anna, one of our freshmen, she is in charge of keeping track of that on the bench, and she loves it. She does an awesome job with it. She always is like, it's turkey time. She'll stand up, it's turkey time. So they really have bought into that, and it really fuels the players that are on the floor. They know what that means. We have to get a stop. So it's fun to watch them on how they interact on the bench and then on the court with that.
Let's wrap up the program by talking about the road ahead, because as mentioned, just got through a really busy stretch of 3 games, 5 days, 5 games, 10 days, and now do it all over again with 3 games in 5 days, 5 and 10 to wrap up the regular season. Final homestand starts Thursday, the first of 3, Thursday against IUPUI at 7 p.m., Saturday at 2 o'clock against UIC, and then a makeup game on Monday to wrap up the home regular season schedule against Green Bay at 7 p.m. IUPUI right now, the hottest team in the league. They have not suffered a loss since New Year's Eve against Northern Kentucky. Boy, did they get payback against the Norse this past week, 78 to 53. But it's an IUPUI team that record-wise is 15-3 in conference play. 2 of those losses are forfeited losses. But it starts with Macy Williams, did not play the first time in what was a heck of a battle from the jungle, won by IUPUI over the Panthers, 63-60 on January 8th.
Yeah, Macy is a force to be reckoned with, but we have a plan. Our post players actually do a really good job on her. It's going to be a tough game. They're on a 13-game winning streak. Very, very good team. Very good team. Again, you have someone that can score in the paint, and you have all these shooters on the outside. So it's going to be a physical game. Good game on Thursday, but we really have to lock it down defensively and then take care of our business on the offensive end of things.
You talk about that 1-2 combo, Megan Walstad and Emma Whitmerhouse, and they had some nice performances at the jungle earlier this season. Again, Macy was not playing in that game, and I know you look at Macy and she's more known for her offensive numbers, but how does she make a difference now in trying to keep those 2 at check with her presence?
That's a big job for her. Because Megan is so aggressive, Emma is very aggressive, and Macy struggles a little bit on the defensive end. So I think we'll be able to take advantage of that as long as we're aggressive. So it'll be an interesting matchup. I look forward to it on Thursday.
And Macy being the 3-time Horizon League Player of the Year, but I think who scares me more in this IUPUI roster is based on track record against the Panthers, Rachel McLemore. Yes. How do you go about trying to slow her down, because she is aggressive and she can get right to the bucket as well? Yeah,
and she really hurt us in transition the first time, so we really have to do a better job of guarding our yard and having that help, the help that we talked about against Oakland. That's how we're going to. That's our game plan with on Thursday. We have to be in our gaps. She has to see that she doesn't have that opening on drives. and being able to guard our yard. So it's a tall task. She's a very good player. So hopefully we'll have the same defensive mindset that we had against Oakland.
And finally, I want to get quick thoughts on Saturday, not necessarily about UIC, but it's a special day in the sense it's Alumni Day, but it's also Senior Day, and so the grad students who came back, Sydney Staver, the two mix, Michaela Schmelzer, Michaela Santoro will be honored. A special day for Panther women's basketball coming up against UIC on Saturday.
Yeah, always a special day. Sometimes a sad day, but we look forward to celebrating them on Saturday. All three of them have brought so much to our program. So we're excited to celebrate them.
Well, Coach Cantley, thanks for filling in this week.
Thank
Great
you.
job, and we'll
Thank
see
you
you at the K on Thursday. Hope to see you at the K on Thursday, IUPY at 7 o'clock. Thanks to Pat Baldwin, thanks to Scott Worth, for Stacy Cantley and Matt Menzel. Thanks for watching the Panther Sports Report. We'll do it again next Tuesday from the Milwaukee Brewing Company.